Welcome, y'all, to YouTube time, and this is a cup of mud time with Madison, Christine. Today, you guys, I'm going to share a topic that is so dear to my heart. He's one of my greatest passions in the work that I do, and that is the young ones. And when I say the young ones, I'm talking about the wee littles all the way through the teens, through the 20s. And truly, this can apply to anyone, because what I'm really talking about is that higher frequency that's been coming into onto this planet. And I have a practice mostly of teens starting at 16 and then up through the early 20s. And again, I love all ages. And so this isn't, do anything against the older ones or whatever, but it is something that has been spectacular for me to be a part of, because I also came into this planet at a different frequency, kind of going, what the hell is going on here, right? So I had my own experience growing up in a family system. And honestly, let's look at our world, you guys, where my passion for truth, for even this joyful vibration, all of this, but especially the truth, was very much a threat to a lot of people that didn't want to face themselves. So I would be a mirror, and if someone wasn't looking at themselves, I could be very triggering to people. And I saw through a lot of control systems very young. So of course, here I am now, having really walked through a lot of that pain and feeling unseen, and now connecting to who I am. I see why I went through what I did, as a reason and a purpose to work with these children, these young ones, with such passion and such love and such insight into what's really going on in a family system when things go awry. And it's an old paradigm that all these kids have behavioral problems and all this stuff. There's actually a very different twist to this that I'm going to talk about. So just kind of framing that for you guys. So these young ones, a lot of these young ones who've come to me have been to other therapies that they're like, just didn't work. They didn't feel seen. They just roll their eyes at it. And here's why I can work so profoundly with these kids. I had the same experience. The therapists just were not seeing through what was going on in the family system. And I felt even worse. I felt even more shamed, more unseen, and got treated like a problem when actually the problem was the family system. So a lot of these kids, not all of them, a lot of them have extremely supportive parents. It's been beautiful to work with that as well. But remember, I love this. Okay, so I learned this in Dr. Connie Buck, if you're listening to this, one of my classes at Southwestern when I was getting my master's, and we were talking about ancestry. Remember, let's say I had a child. The child is standing now on my shoulders, so it gets higher and higher, this perspective. And if you're able to see it through ancestry, where it's an opportunity to clean up those old energies, those old abuses, those old control systems. And as we come in, and the wee little ones come in, they're coming in a lighter frequency. So why is it that a lot are really acting out right now to all the control systems? It's actually them screaming for their source energy, because they see even more than I do what's wrong with what's going on. And they have a quicker resilience and response to it. They have come more equipped for this time. So if I, as a therapist, went in as a typical, I'm in an authoritative position, or I'm in an above situation, which is the old paradigm, I don't want to say now, but if I were to come in with, I have the answers and you're the problem, I'd be perpetuating the very thing they came in for, right? So these days, as I've let go of any ego I've had over it and the pressure of what I should do as a therapist, I drop my notebook and I'm in awe. When I ask these kids, now, what is the question I ask? What would you do? What is your wisdom? They literally almost always come across with an answer or resolution or resolve for themselves in a way I could never have done. And it blows me away. And I also see them as individuals, not one person. There's no blanket answer for someone who's in their true self, right? so I can guide and I can hold an energy and I can hold a deep love. And what I'm doing is just mirroring back their amazingness. I'm not sitting there going, well, you have this disorder. No way. You guys, I have gotten so many kids come in that parents think there's no hope or there's just all this anxiety and there's something wrong. And I'm like thinking, no, they're having a natural response to trauma in their environment. They're having a natural response to the trauma in our world. And they just need help being seen and navigating and really just being heard. Like, oh my God, of course you feel panic. Of course you feel anxiety. Of course you wanted to take your life. That's a really intense energy you were living in. I heard this great example. I was listening to an Abraham Hicks, and there was this guy who is a psychiatrist and works with kids and was trying to get some help around, is it in alignment he was asking if it was in alignment for him to be giving meds to kids that are just so out of control. And of course, the answer there was, if it's helping with letting go of some resistance and it's helping them, of course it's okay. But you got to look at the core issue. Are you mirroring back their true source energy? If you have a kid, you have an adult, any of us, and you put a towel over that person's mouth, what's going to happen? They're going to go into rage and scream or whatever it is to try to get their freedom. When you're feeling powerless, it's the worst suffering in the world, right? As a part of all of that. Remember, these kids are coming in, seeing the towels on the mouths, and they're not going to take it. And some of them are going it will take some into severe violence. But what they're doing is they're crying for their source energy and their freedom. And not just for them, they're feeling it for everyone. So when we get perspective, it changes the whole game. Right? Like for me, I'm so lucky because I often get referrals of the teens because people don't know what to do with them. And I'm like, it's the best freaking, I don't want to call it a job, experience in the world because I grow with them. I drop my notebook and I listen more deeply. And I hear these creative solutions. These are the ones that are going to be leading our world, you guys. There's hope. Now, also sensitivity to ones that do get pulled in by the darkness, by the dark voices because of their sensitivity. There's a lot of different sensitivities, but there's a higher sensitivity and a higher frequency, which means they're even more tuned in. So I just want to be a voice to the beauty, the opportunity, what we can learn from these young ones, these teens, these 20-year-olds. I mean, I literally drop my mouth at the way they navigate through things so much differently than I even could. There's things I'll be able to talk about that I would have never been able to. And I was, in a sense, ahead of my time when it came to that frequency and not sharing that from any ego perspective. That's how I came in. That's why I work with these kids and I just empower them and celebrate them. And when things are really rough for them, things are really rough, but they know how to navigate and feel through it. And from our older generations, we've been so taught to see it as oh no, there's something wrong, there's this big problem, and we just need to fix it and move on. And often parents send their kids because they feel out of control, and really they could use the therapy. Because when the adult gains control and empowerment, the kids feel that energy. Right? The kids are the most powerful mirror in the world, even if it hurts. And for me, even someone who sees this and as a therapist, I've been challenged too, where I've gotten to a place where I just laugh because I'll maybe offer something and they'll be like, no. And we just laugh together. And I'll be like, yeah, I remember when my therapist suggested breathing and I wanted to punch a wall. So I get it. So I never push anything. I'm like, well, what's going to work for you? And they just need to be seen and heard. But you guys, this intelligence is what we need on this planet. They're not going to take the 9-to-5 job in the office. It's not going to work. Thank God. That's a towel over the face. That's suffocation. You all know that. So cheers, you guys, from my cup of mud, cup of nutrients. Another thing changing my life. To these young ones. Let's pay attention. Let's listen. And this is not to disregard any of you parents who have been through hell and back, perhaps having a child that acted out the whole family system way back when, they need love. They need freedom. And there'll always be someone to show up. There's a lot of importance of let go and looking at your own self and looking at your own issues that maybe have been buried and they're playing out in the child. That's the beauty. That's the gift they're giving. So thank you guys for listening. It's MadisonChristine.net. And please hit subscribe if you're interested in what I'm sharing. And I'll meet you all on the flip.